guys, Cowbell Crunchies here, and for this video I'm going to bring you an unboxing and also a product demo of Plaid's new FX series of paint. This is actually our very first unboxing video, so bear with me if it is not perfect, but I'm really excited about this one. We've gotten a couple types of paints from Plaid before, but this is specifically their new Plaid FX line, which is specifically made with cosplayers in mind. It's a flexible type of paint, so it's really great for things like Armour, things like Ava painting, anything that's going to have a little bit of flex to it, and to be honest, pretty much almost everything I make for cosplay has some kind of flex. There's a couple exceptions, of course, but when you're putting it on your body, even if you think it's a hard thing like Armour that's not necessarily going to move, there's a little bit of flex and give. And so I find that if I paint something like that with a unflexible acrylic, it doesn't really matter what kind of priming and finishing I do. If the paint itself doesn't flex, that's how you can kind of end up with those creases and cracks in it. So this stuff, ideally you want to use it, and then your paint is not going to have that obnoxious flexing and cracking just because the paint's going to flex along with your body. So I have this enormous box. I don't know what's in it, but we're going to find out. So let's see. And we've got very difficult to open tape is what we've got. Is this how unboxings normally go? All right. Ooh, what is this? Oh my god, it's like a whole, it's a whole backpack. That's really cool. I like this size, it's very square. And I think inside is where our paint is gonna be. So Plaid already came out with the individual paints for this. This is specifically kits, so little sets of the individual paint. So, got these cute little boxes. Let's open this up. Got 4 of these to go through. Oh yeah. So each one contains some small, I wouldn't even call this sampler, honestly. This is pretty big, but it's smaller than the individual ones, but some smaller size of all of the FX paints in this particular set. Oh, here. And we have actually got a guide on what all of these are. So it looks like we've got sets of 6 to 4, depending on which kit you get. This one looks like it is nuclear neon. So this is vibrant colors that glow brightly under a black light. Aw, sorry, I just immediately know exactly what I want to use this for. Not for this video, for something in the future. But I guess, wow. So this would be really good for dances, for anything with a black light. And we've got a couple different colors in the Nuclear Neon series. There's all of these here. And then it looks like they also included a white to mix these into, which makes a lot of sense if you don't want it quite this bold. So let's set that aside. What's in this next guy? And ooh, all right. So this one is our high voltage glitter series. So this says it is perfect for a sparkling top coat. Milky base dries to a clear finish. So this is for the cosplays that you want some kind of actual glitter or sparkle coat on top. So fairy kind of stuff, anything very magical. And we've got a couple different tones of this kind of paint. All right. What is up next is... Ooh. Okay, this is the one I was actually really excited for. This is the Armour Metallic series, which is kind of my jam. I find this the most useful personally, just because I think in cosplay we all make a lot of armor and we all make a lot of metallic armor, so this is perfect for that kind of thing. Ideal for creating an authentic metallic finish, we know that. There's actually 5 different colors in here, which I really like. You know, we've got our typical gold, we've got the typical silver, which actually I don't think that's the name of these guys. The gold is named Golden Hour, and the silver is Chainmail. But then we've also got a more pewter type of darker silver, which I personally find that really useful for if you need to darken the tint without adding in black, which kind of detracts from all of the mica shine. And then we've actually got a red and a blue metallic, which is really nice. I think these are pretty common colors, honestly, especially if you're doing some kind of mecha-ish build. So that's nice, and these do also have the metallic sheen to them. So I'm excited for this, but I'm going to set it aside because we have one more. Alright, and the last one. Get out of here. So the last kit we've got is the most difficult to open. And also, actually, this one has the most paint. So these, again, they're sets of 4 to 6. This one is the 6, and this is the Satin Smooth series. That makes sense. This is your typical satin, but still flexible paint. So the Satin Smooth series is a creamy, full-bodied consistency that dries to a smooth satin finish. And then we've got our standard variety of colors. I like that you've got the primaries and can mix them all together. I think the larger sets actually come with a little more variety than this, so if you find yourself needing a purple that does not come with the kit, you can buy that separately. But I think if you just want to maybe spend a little less money to get all of them as a sampler or just as a smaller size, this is a good starting point. All right, so like I promised, this second half of the video is actually going to be a tutorial. So something that you could use these kits for in your own cosplay life. For me, again, my favorite is really the metallics. That's kind of my jam. So what I want to use these for is actually not armor. I'm sure there's going to be a ton of other videos with how to paint armor, how to paint 3D prints, that kind of thing, because I think that's what a lot of cosplayers think of these for. But for me, I actually tend to use flexible paint a lot for lace painting, which is really more applicable to like needlework and fabrics and that kind of thing rather than cosplay armor. But the reason I really like it for painting lace is because obviously lace is going to be very flexible on our cosplays. If we were to spray paint or use acrylic, that's going to be terrible and it's going to crack. But at the same time, it's really kind of hard sometimes to find lace in the correct color you need. Even with something like a metallic gold, I find myself almost always painting the lace a different color gold because I can never find exactly the right tone I need. And it's also kind of a little difficult to specifically find a flexible metallic in the color I need. So that's why I tend to turn to paints like this a lot when I paint my gold lace rather than use an airbrush or dye or that kind of thing, because then we get that really nice shine still in it. So for this kind of project, what we really just need is our lace. We need a paintbrush, and we just need the FX paint that we want to use for our flexible finish. And that's pretty much it. So let's just do that over the course of the next couple minutes, and I'll show you guys how I paint my lace. So for this project, we really don't need a lot. All we need is our FX paint, our actual lace to be painted, a paintbrush, and then I'm actually going to use some wax paper to protect my surface, but you could use newspaper or anything like that as well. Any kind of painting is a messy process, so it's always good to lay something like this down before you get started. So I'm just going to lay this over my work area. And I'm going to unspool out my ribbon. And just lay that down. All right, and the actual painting of this is really straightforward. We're literally just going to paint the lace, and that's kind of all there is to it. You can go extremely opaque like this. If you want a slightly lighter tone, you can always water this down a little bit with a bit of water or a bit of painting medium. But this going straight out of the paint is always going to give you the most opaque finish. And to be honest, that's really all there is to this technique. We're just painting directly onto the lace and then making sure that it completely dries. And that's it. We'll allow this to completely dry, usually over a couple hours, overnight if you want to be very safe. But now we have our very metallic gold lace. It's also going to be highly flexible. It's really opaque. That was very fast to do. And we can also mix it up a little bit. So if I say I really wanted this gold lace to have a bit of a red pop, go ahead and add our red finishing with our Dragon's Breath color. Once that's a little bit set, this is already dried quite a bit. We can take an even smaller brush, get a bit of that paint, and then paint it right into the accent area of the lace. And then we've got our red accent in there as well. Also metallic. Now this, definitely flip it and make sure that you've gotten the back as well. And then for a final one, what if we added a little bit of samurai sword? So a little bit of a dark pop, I think. Now this is not a black. This is actually a really shiny, dark silver, very gunmetal color in my opinion. So let's see. I just right the center, honestly. Keep an accent. So this would be really useful if any lace you find just really does not match the palette of your cosplay. Also, if you're trying to recreate a very particular type of lace from a game that just doesn't exist, like I can't think of anyone who would manufacture anything like this that I'm painting here, this is a great method to do that. I personally find that it's really hard to find lace that matches your cosplay, even in shades of gold and silver like this. There's just something about the lace tends to only come in one particular type of gold, and it's not the gold that I like to make my outfits in. So I end up having to paint my lace a lot of the time. All right, so we're gonna flip it and get the back as well. Great. And so this is what we have ended up with. I wanted to try out the metallic blue as well. This is the saber blue. We had it earlier. And I just wanted to, just as an example, we wanted the entire thing a nice dark metallic. Just paint it on. Wow, this is really dark blue. Again, not a normal color for lace, especially if you're going for a metallic finish. But you can always paint. And once that's dried, that'll be a really interesting color. And to be honest, that's pretty much it. It's a really simple process. It can take as long or as short a period of time as you want, depending on how detailed and how peculiar you want to be about it. But I love doing this kind of thing. I do this for pretty much every single costume that I use lace on. And I think this is a really good option if you are looking for a flexible metallic, or honestly any of these other colors. If you want glitter, if you want a glow-in-the-dark lace, that works as well. But this is a perfect option if you want to make something like this and paint it for your cosplay. I'm a fan of this. I like this size paint a lot because I like having a lot of variety. I'm not a huge fan of mixing my paint, to be honest. So these kinds of kits are my jam. If you guys are looking for these, I believe they're sold on the Plaid website, and also on Amazon is where I've heard that they are going to be available, and then also probably at your typical craft retailer. But I hope you guys have fun with these as well, and thanks for tuning in.